Hey y'all, it's Miguel with Filamented Shop, and I'm back with a follow-up video to our first impressions video, poorly named review the first time around, but I did update it after some comments just letting me know, hey, I missed a bunch of stuff that I should have included. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for letting me know. It was my first review video, no excuses, but it was my first review video, so all the comments you guys have given me, I have taken it and I have made some improvements to not only the title of that video, but also just taking all of the questions you guys had, which I am grateful for. Thank you guys for posting all of those questions and just creating some more content answering some of those questions. Now, for the sake of making sure that I am mindful of your time, that's tuning into this video, I just want to break down what this video will include and then what I plan to include on the next video. Because maybe this video is for you, maybe it's not, right? And so in this video, I'm covering topics like, can I print over LAN, network, and thumb drive? I'm looking at video quality comparisons from the camera on the KobraX, and I'm comparing it to the S1 and also the A1. I'm answering the question about the Ace Pro, comparing speed Benchy. So I ran speed Benchy across all three of these machines. Again, the Kobra S1, KobraX, and the A1. And we're reviewing the speed Benchy. So these are Benchies printed in under 20 minutes. And then I'm also doing a short TPU quality review. So just showing you guys a short print with TPU, just to show you guys how all three of these printers match up and which one of those stood out and which one of those maybe didn't make, or which one of those missed the mark. So again, really excited to show you guys all of this content. The next video will include printing PLA and TPU together. Will include printing PLA and PETG together, using it for port interface. Side-by-side comparisons of 15+ hour prints. I will be showcasing one print off of the X that I ran yesterday. That was about an 18-hour print that I think you guys might want to take a look at. And I do have a comparison, but it's an unfair comparison versus the H2C. But I'll show you guys how that looks. And then also, I did want to do some purge comparisons between the X and the S1. These are both Anycubic products. I wish I could do the A1 today or this week, but I can't because I'm waiting on the combo unit to come in for me to do that for you guys. I don't have a combo unit for that one because I have combo units for a bunch of my other equipment and I just didn't find it necessary to have it for that one. But given that I think that there's a lot of people that want to see it perform side by side, I'm going to go ahead and I've already placed the order for one. As soon as it comes in, I'll be happy to show you guys what that looks like. The printer does have LAN compatibility. Right inside of the system, you're able to go in, enable LAN. You can print right over your network directly from the Anycubic software, and you can also print with a thumb drive. A nice feature that the system has is as soon as you try to print from the thumb drive, before printing, it automatically creates a copy of that project and places it on your printer. So if you have a read error with your thumb drive in the printer, it doesn't affect your print, which is really cool. Secondly, if you unplug that thumb drive and you want to come back and run the same print again, it will be stored on your printer, which is really neat. Video quality comparisons. So I did clip briefly from each printer, the S1, the KobraX, and the A1. And a few notable things that I found were that the Anycubic Kobra S1 and the A1 both give you a much slower of a frame rate feedback. So the playback speed is choppy. It almost looks like you're just getting still image after still image every about second and a half. Whereas with the S1, you're getting more of a live feed. The frame rate's much higher, so you're getting more of a real-time playback, from the KobraX. Now, although that's nice, I will say once your prints start to get a little taller, you get this wobble because of the frame rate. Your taller prints almost looks like they're bending. The pencil trick where you wobble the pencil and it makes it look like it's waving. That's what I get when I'm running this printer and I'm looking at it over the live feed. It just looks like it's wobbling, it's waving during the live feed. And also I will say that A1 clearly over both of these systems just has a crisper image. I thought maybe because of the way that I had the light shining on the printer, that's why I was getting such a dim feedback. So I turned off the lights, looked at it with just the onboard light, and it didn't get any better. And you can see here, this is my lighting setup that I have with the printer. I have an overhead light and I have a studio light shining directly on it. And yet for some reason, the video quality just seems to be just a little bit dim for some reason. Other than that, again, I love that it is a little bit more real time, especially at the early parts of the print. You're not looking like, what's going on? You get the full motion of things. As far as will it work with the Ace Pro, it will work with the Ace Pro 2 only. I did ask if I could use my Ace Pro 1 that I have with my S1. I was told no, I could not. I have to wait for the Pro 2. So once I have the Pro 2 on hand, I'll show you guys how to set this up. For now, I'm only able to run it with the 4 built-in material system. As far as the speed benchies, here is the speed benchy directly off of the KobraX. You can see that the quality is pretty good. This was printed in about just under 19 minutes. That's with warm-up time and calibration time that the printer had. But really, I don't have any major complaints about the quality. Even on the lower surface looks great, and mind you, this was printed very quickly. That first layer was printed within just a few seconds. But really the surface, even when you change from solid to hollow, you can, or not solid, but the solid part down here to the hollow part up here, typically you get this break or this shiny part, and then it's not so shiny. This is very uniform, and there's really no major concerns. The only concern that I have really, and it's not really that big, is there's a little bit of waviness there, likely from just like motor jitter as the machine is moving. Just inside of here, a little bit of sag, but really nothing to be worried about. So that's off of the X, off of the S1. And already you can see there's a little more waviness on the S1 than on the X. Here they are side by side, just a tiny, ever so slightly. You can see it even up towards the top. There's a ripple up here. And the ripple is not, if it's there, it's not as prominent on the X. And here is the top surface. I am pretty happy with how the X performed, even versus the S1, which is an enclosed system. I would consider this to be a higher end version. However, again, if I had to choose one, I would say that the X is definitely performing better in terms of this speed benchy here. Now here is the A1. This is from the Bamboo Labs A1 system. Again, you can kind of see there is that little shift in tone. However, the surface does look very smooth, but you do see that change in finish. And I think that's due to just the speed change. Once the walls get smaller, the surface area gets smaller. I think it takes its time. There's a speed compensation that happens. And the slower you print, I think the more you get that matte finish. And so let's look at them side by side. Again, this is the X, and I would say that they're almost identical. Here's the first layer, bottom surface, and the top surface. Between the two, I think they're very close. I think they butt up against each other quite nicely. And I really don't have too many complaints from either or system. Now let's talk about TPU. I first ran TPU on the Anycubic Kobra S1. And what I'd like for you guys to look at, one of the 3 of these is going to be an obvious no-go, but 2 of them, and I'll say which ones, the S1 and the X did very well. Now, when I look at them though, there's only really one comparable difference. And look at this back wall. You can see how there's some rippling here and then it's smooth, but then there's some small surface imperfections, which honestly this is Overture Black TPU 95A. For TPU, I wouldn't even consider this all that bad. There's some imperfections, but it's not all that bad, and you'll see why I say that in just a sec. This is off of the A1 using TPU settings from the software. This is a generated by the Bamboo software, and gross. It's really gross. Now, I've always had this problem with my A1. When I first got it, I wanted to print these rubber feet for a espresso organizer, and I immediately got all of this stringiness that you see here. All of this was all over my print, and it's very common for me on the A1. I haven't really had all that much success printing TPU, and so I wasn't surprised to see this quality. But as you can see, would I recommend printing just TPU, Overture TPU 95A on your A1? No, I would not recommend it at all. Is the KobraX. That is some pretty consistent quality right there. And just to show you guys side by side, I'm going to grab the S1, which I thought did really well. Here's the S1 on the left, and here's the KobraX on the right. Look at that. That is very good. Look at that. Look at that. The inside wall, if I can get some shine on that, looks really nice. That is some pretty good quality. If I had to pick a printer right now to run TPU on, I would absolutely, just off of this, I would pick both of these, but I would prefer the KobraX for TPU just because of that just little bit of difference on the surface quality there. I did want to show you guys a tall print off of the X really quick. One of my wheel headset stands that I designed printed on that puppy right there. And I'll tell you guys, I'm not unhappy with the quality. If I paid $269 again for this printer and got this quality off the rip without me having any, this is off of the H2C, right? Now, mind you, that is a printer that is 10 times the price. Is it 10 times worse? No, it's really not. There is some slight imperfection. And to be fair, there was just an update. My friend Neokoi Prince mentioned to me that there was an update that affected some of the temperature calibrations. And so I'm going to be rerunning this over and over and running comparisons across multiple systems, if that's what you guys want to see. If you guys want to see results off of this printer, again, I'm just going to be running prints off of the printer. But so far, with the first print off of the machine, fully successful, not a single support failed off of this machine, which is really good to see, especially for such an intricate print. I like to use organic tree support, so they go all over the place. I don't like them touching the parts, so they only come off the bed, and it had to do some crazy curving, and so the fact that it printed really nicely without a single failure, again, was really nice. So I hope this video was helpful. Stay tuned for the next video where we'll be printing with multiple different materials at the same time. PLA PET-G, PLA TPU. We're going to be doing some purging comparisons against the S1, and we're looking at taller torture test prints, 15+ hour prints versus other systems that are in a similar category, and checking out the quality. Well, thank you guys for sticking around, and see you guys on the next one.